we're going to go ahead and get started. But we're going to start on our back. Make sure you've got 2 blocks and a blanket and head facing towards the top of your space, so facing towards me. And the first thing I'd like you to do is just take a moment to lay down, close your eyes, and notice what you notice happening in the body. So take a moment to actually extend your legs long. Open the arms off the body if possible, just resting in Shavasana. And we'll just take 3 to 5 breaths here. And the focus of our practice today is really going to be on building an inner core, building strength coming from the midline and allowing that to radiate into other aspects of our life. Because it seems that once we are both physically as well as metaphorically aligned and centered, then it makes it easier to be out in the world, to make choices, to make decisions, and to actually act upon them. And so for the next few breaths as you're here, I'd like you to just notice how it feels to breathe, seeing if you can feel the breath really enter into the abdomen, really enter into the low widening of the ribs and pressing into the back of the body, maybe between the shoulder blades. And you'll just take one more deep breath like that. At the end of this next exhalation, walk your legs together so they're straight. Turn your feet parallel as though you're going to stand on them, and you might separate your feet about hip distance apart as though you were actually standing on them. Press out through your big toes. Press down through your heels, the inner thighs, the backs of the legs. If you need to lift your pelvis and slide your tailbone forward a little further, go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and reach both arms up towards the sky like happy little zombies. So straight up. Now I'd like you to go ahead and you're going to start to flex your wrists. So you're imagining that you're pressing the ceiling away and you're just feeling a little bit of weight coming into the hands. And then keeping that, pay attention to what's happening in your shoulders. And I want you to start to bend your elbows, hugging your elbows near your waist, hugging your hands over your shoulders. And so we're finding about a 90-degree angle in the elbows, if possible, a 90-degree. Sorry, so maybe come a little bit forward. There you go.
So push up upside down.
So push up upside down, exactly. And so you're just going to go ahead and inhale, send the arms back up. And exhale, push up upside down. We've got about 5 of these. And I want you to pay attention in particular when you bend the elbows, what's happening in the shoulder blades. Can the heart stay open? Can you hug the elbows near your ribs, near your waist? There we go. And are you paying attention to what's happening in the head? What's happening in your low ribs? Are your legs still active and feet still pressing forward? And we'll take about 1 more set on your own. And then at the end of this next exhalation, gently go ahead and release, take some circles of the wrist, and just notice what you notice happening here. You'll then go ahead and extend your arms alongside your ears, stretch from toe tip to fingertip, wiggle and yawn in any way that feels good to you. And then hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little bit of a squeeze, a little bit of a hug. Again, you might rock a little bit right to left. And then you might choose to come to stillness and start to rock forward and back along your spine. Once you've done that a few times, you'll come up to sit and then turn around and make your way to hands and knees. Once you find yourself up to hands and knees, our blocks will be to the upper outer corners of our space. And you might pad your knees with your blanket if that feels appropriate to you. Once we're established there, we're going to take the slowest cow on the face of the planet. So I want you to really push down through your hands, push down through the tops of your shins, drop your belly, drop your heart, and isometrically pull your hands back to pull your sternum forward. And then see if you can lift up through your ears and broaden through your tailbone and keep pulling the hands back isometrically as you squeeze the shoulder blades onto your back body, as you push down through the hands and you lift up through your ears, and just take a moment to breathe there and notice all that engagement. And then on your next exhale, we're going to reverse that. So you'll start to draw your chin towards your chest. You'll press wide through your pinky fingers. You'll broaden the shoulder blades on your back. You'll drop your tailbone down towards the floor and see if you can widen the shoulder blades even further as you draw your chin even closer to your chest. Next in-breath, you'll inhale to a normal cow shape. And then you'll exhale to a normal cat shape. And you'll just take 2 to 3 more of those on your own. If you liked the slower pace, by all means, hang out in either cat or cow for a few breath cycles and just notice how much range of motion you have. And you've got one more complete breath cycle on your own. And then you'll find your way back to a neutral position. From our neutral tabletop, take your left arm and slide your left arm underneath you towards the right. Your left arm, I'm sorry. I showed you. You were right, Jenny. I was like, wait. And then once your left arm goes underneath you, you'll press down through your right. You'll push the back of the left arm, the left shoulder, maybe draw your chin to your chest here and just breathe for a few breaths here. And you'll notice what happens if you draw your chin to your chest a little bit more so you round in your upper back versus not. And you might play with that for yourself and just breathe. And then on your next in-breath, we'll gently come out of that, return to a neutral tabletop position. And then just take a slow cat and cow here and just notice what you notice happening in the spine. Notice if you notice a difference on one side versus the other. And then you'll find your way back to neutral. This time, take your right hand, thread it underneath you to the left. Bring the whole back of the right arm, shoulder thing to the floor. Notice what happens if you draw your chin to your chest just a little bit as you press down into your left hand, push down into your right arm, and rotate to the left. And you just pause and you breathe. Got one more breath cycle here. On your next inhalation, gently come back up to hands and knees. Take another slow cat and another slow cow. Nice job. Let's go ahead and find ourselves into neutral. Lower your forearms down to the mat. Okay, and I'm already gonna preface this. This is nothing sneaky is about this. So we're gonna make little fists with our hands. So Sandy, come closer to the top of your space. Make sure you're pretty close to the top of your space. And then you're gonna crawl your knees back. So your blanket can stay as it is, but you're gonna crawl your knees back. Before we go anywhere, make sure your elbows are elbows are under your shoulders. Curl both sets of toes under. Cool. Now, walk your knees back even further. Jenny, walk your knees back even further. Roberta, Sandy, you're good. You can stay there. Barbara, you're good there. So this is option number 1. You can stay right here, knees on the ground, push down through your elbows a lot till your shoulders lift up and away from the floor. Some of you will decide to reach so far back through your heels that your knees drop off. Now, step your dominant elbow forward. So for me, that's my right elbow. Step your dominant elbow forward. And you're going to breathe for 10 breath cycles. That's an inhale and an exhale. And you just go your 10. You're pushing the floor away for dear life. You're pulling your core up a lot. Those of you that have your legs straight, you're reaching back through the inner edges of your feet a lot. And those of you that have your knees still on the floor, make sure your shoulders are over your elbows. So you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing and you're taking 10 cycles. I'm not counting it. It's your 10 cycles. So you take your 10 cycles, and when you're done, you'll lower your knees to the mat and you'll take a moment to rest. You can come up to sit, you can lie down, but you've got 10 breaths. Yay! Now what do we know is going to happen? Yes, there is. All right. So come back to hands and knees. And you're going to just take a slow cat and you're going to take a slow cow. So we're working on integrating the core today. And there was nothing sneaky about that. I'm sure that you felt that quite quickly, even if you're like, oh, this isn't anything. When you took the dominant arm forward In general, most of us, we have more movement on our dominant side, more length. So walking the elbow forward was probably a lot more challenging than you might find it on the other side. And, that might be an empty promise. So who knows? Let's go ahead and lower our forearms back to the mat. Make little fists with your hands. Walk your knees back until you're in a diagonal line from your head, through your shoulders, through your hips. Curl both sets of toes under. Some of you will stay right here, pushing the elbows down, lifting up through your inner armpits. Some of you will reach back through your heels, continuing to lengthen your tailbone back, and then step your non-dominant elbow forward. And you got 10 breath cycles. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe. You're going to pause and you're going to breathe. You're going to keep pulling that low belly core thing up and away from the floor, hollowing the belly. You're going to keep lengthening your tailbone back. And you're going to breathe and you're going to breathe. And it's your 10 breath cycles. I'm not counting them. Whatever's 10 for you is true, and that's good. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe, and you're all doing great. And after you've taken your 10 breath cycles, your knees come to the mat. You'll sit up and you'll pause and you'll wait for everyone else to catch up. But you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Nice work. 10 breath cycles. All right. Hi, puppy. And then when you've done your 10, you'll sit back on hands and knees. And now, since it looks like all of us have done that, let's come back to hands and knees. And then again, take that slow cat and that slow cow. And I want you to just really luxuriate in your cow and your cat and just really notice what it feels like. We've engaged all the muscles around the core, and it's just starting to feel how that feels. All right, you've got one more round of cats and cows on your own. Fantastic. And then let's find ourselves in a neutral spine. Lower your elbows to the mat one more time. All good things come in threes. All right, so for this one, what? Well, it is for today. We're going to make sure we're going to shift our weight forward so that our elbows are directly underneath our shoulders, and then crawl your knees back again. Again, option, well, everyone curl both sets of toes under. Option to stay right here, lengthening your tailbone back towards your knees. Option to reach back through your heels and lift up, and we'll breathe here for 10 breath cycles. And again, you're scooping your low belly in and up. You're lifting the back of the head away from the floor. You're lengthening back through those legs. You're feeling all the vibrations and all the shakies of the core. And my muscles and my tummy feel really warm and hot. And you're just noticing what you notice. Full breath in, full breath out. At the end of your 10th exhalation, your knees will lower back to the mat. You'll come back to hands and knees, and you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. So you take your time. Hands and knees, and then downward facing dog. And then you just pause and you breathe. And when you find yourself in your down dog, surprisingly, that feels pretty good. But I want you to breathe in your abdomen when you're in your down dog. So we just did all this core stuff. So see if you can breathe on the front of your body and your low belly and feel those muscles stretch out by just having breath there, by just having a little bit of movement. And then you might notice that you can push down and forward into your hands a little bit more. And you might start to feel your legs a little bit more. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what this feels like. Tilting your pelvis up as though you're taking a slow cow just in the pelvis. And then when you're ready, gently bend your knees and start to crawl your hands back towards your feet. When you get to the back of your space, take a moment to just hang here, feet hip distance apart. Notice what it feels like to allow the weight to shift forward in your legs so it's centered on the feet, and let your head just drop forward. And then just see if you can breathe. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Slide your hands up your shins. Inhale halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Lightly push your fingertips into your shins into your fingertips. Shift your weight forward so that your heels, if I needed to ask you to lift your heels 1 inch off the floor, you could do it, but the heels stay down. It's just the movement is that far forward. Now draw the shoulders onto the back body. Reach your heart and sternum forward. Haha, there you go. And then just pause and breathe for 3. Send your pubic bone back behind you for 2. Find a little cow in your pelvis for 1. Yeah. From there, exhale, fold all the way in. Crawl yourself forward back to your downward facing dog. Once you find yourself in downward facing dog, just take a moment to breathe. Inhale, shift your weight forward into plank pose, following Asana pause here. Now lift up through those inner armpits. Slide both heels over to your right. Keep pushing your left arm into the floor. Lift up through your right hip. Yep. Inhale, come back through center. Slide your heels over to the left. Press your right hand down. Lift your left hip up and breathe. Nice job. Inhale, come back through center. As you exhale, shift your weight forward. Lower all the way down. Nice. Once we find ourselves onto our abdomen, keep your hands alongside your ribs, thumbs roughly in line with your nipples. Extend the tops of your toenails into the mat. Straighten through your legs and then lengthen your tailbone back as you press your pubic bone down. Now from here, push down through the hands, isometrically pull your heart forward, draw the shoulder blades onto your back, hug your elbows back towards your hips, and see if you can lift up through the crown of your head. Yeah. Take a breath in here, broadening through the collarbones, pulling back through the hands, forward through the heart, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Do that one more time with breath. Inhale, pulling the heart forward and through, legs pressed down and up, or down and back, and exhale down. Curl both sets of toes under, pull your low belly in, inhale up through hands and knees. Lift the knees off the floor and back to plank or downward facing dog. There you go. And you just take a moment to pause, and we'll take a moment to breathe. Nice work. Inhale here. As you exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Pause here, long, steady lunge. Look forward through the heart. If you need to bring hands to blocks, by all means do that. Just notice what this long, low lunge feels like. At the end of your next exhalation, step your left foot to meet your right. Nice work. From there, feet hip distance apart, forward fold at the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, fingers into shins, shins into fingers. Exhale, fold all the way in, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Take a moment to close the gaze. Shift the weight back into your feet, tailbone down, heart lifts up. Keep that. Inhale, circle, sweep arms up and overhead. You can keep the gaze closed or open the eyes. You're going to drop your right hand down the right side of your body all the way to the floor. Left arm reaches up. Imagine that you can actually touch the floor with your right hand and reach up and touch the ceiling with your left. Seeing if you can drop weight into your left foot. Find more space on your left side body. Next inhale, come back up through center. And then exhale, other side. Drop the left arm down towards the left. Reach it up through the right. And see if you can actually try to reach down to touch the floor. As you reach up to touch the sky, root down into your right foot. Nice work. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Fold forward at your hips. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Nice work. Take a moment to plant the hands on the floor or blocks. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees. Plant your palms. This time, step your right leg long and back. Take a moment to pause there in that low lunge, and you just notice what that feels like. If you need the blocks, great. If you don't, great. Doesn't matter. But you just pause in that low lunge, and you see what that feels like. On your next exhale, plant the palms, step back, downward facing dog. So we took the same actions, and we just reversed the orders. Take a big breath in here. On your next exhalation, roll the spine forward into plank pose. Inhale here. As you exhale, shift your weight forward, lower all the way down. One piece, head stay lifted. Nice job, guys. Now, once you find yourself on your abdomen again, we're going to do all that stuff we did before. So press your toenails into the mat, straighten your legs, lengthen your tailbone back as you press your pubic bone down. Push down into the hands and isometrically pull your heart forward. Draw the shoulder blades onto your back body. Hug your elbows towards your hips. Lift your heart forward and come up for your cobra pose. And you just pause and you breathe. You're pulling the hands back, you're pulling the heart forward. Next exhale, lower down. Do that one more time with breath. So inhale, coming into cobra. Legs are active. Heart is supported by the shoulder blades pressing into the back body. And exhale, lower all the way down. Curl both sets of toes under, your choice. Hands and knees or plank pose. And exhale, downward facing dog, 3 breaths. And you just notice what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? Some of the things that challenge us the most help us build our core stability, build our core integrity, and that gives us more freedom in other places. So lift up into me. Yep. Now push hands down and forward. Ha ha. There we go. How's that feel? There we go. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and move on. So inhale here. Exhale, left knee to nose. Left knee to nose. Plant the left foot between your hands. Fantastic. With your left foot on the floor, you might bring the right hand to a block or might leave the right hand on the floor. It's totally up to you. Then you're going to bring your left hand to your heart. Just like we did on the floor, you're going to imagine that you're pulling your sternum forward. Now push down into your left hand so much that you can then start to peel your left low belly away from your left inner thigh. So you're pushing down into the right hand, pulling up through the left low belly, and you start to rotate towards the left. Now push down even more into the right hand to rotate even more to the left. And you'll pause here for 3. You're pushing your sternum into your hand for 2. You're hugging your shoulders away from your ears for 1. Nice work. Next, in breath, go ahead and frame the front foot with both hands. Spin the back foot down to the floor for Virabhadrasana 2, and then bring your spine up to vertical for Warrior 2. Nice work. Now, once you find yourself in Warrior 2, make sure you've got a long enough stance for you, and then notice if your feet need to change distance from right to left or front to back, extending out through both arms. And then remember when we said make the heel light, see if you can make that front heel just a little bit lighter as you bend into the front knee. Fantastic. Let's keep that. Reach forward through your left arm, lower left arm to the top of thigh, extend right arm alongside your ears, and you've got 4 breath cycles here. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe, finding extended side angle, noticing how you can lengthen your tailbone down towards that left inner thigh, right inner thigh, and then rotate the right ribs back, left ribs forward. Nice job. Next, in breath, return to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And as you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat. Take a moment to pause. Breathe in here. And as you exhale, right foot comes to the top of your mat. Nice work. From there, top of mat, forward fold. Just take a moment to hang and notice what it feels like to have both feet hip distance apart. Let your head hang. Let it be super, super heavy. Chin to chest like we were in that cat pose at the very beginning. Yeah. From here, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Now, take a moment to find your cat back here. So really sending your pubic bone back behind you. And then next exhale, fold all the way in. Bend your knees, plant your palms. This time you'll step your left leg long and back. Nice work. With the left leg long and back, you might bring your left hand to a block underneath your left shoulder. And then we'll bring our right hand to our heart. So again, you push your hand lightly into your sternum to pull your heart forward. Yeah, now push down into your left hand and then start to empty or lighten the load on the right low belly to rotate towards the right. But you're doing that by pushing down into the left hand, by pulling your sternum forward and then rotating towards the right. Fantastic. Take a deep breath in there. On your next exhalation, see if you can twist a little bit more, and then inhale, unwind. Both hands frame the front foot. Spin your left foot to the floor for Virabhadrasana 2, and then inhale, bring the spine up for Warrior 2. Yay! Now, when we find ourselves in Warrior 2, again, notice if you need to adjust your stance front to back, right to left, so that your feet feel equally rooted. And then check in with your front heel. Can you make it a little bit lighter? Yeah, fantastic. Then extend out through both arms. Next in breath, reach forward through your right arm, lower the right forearm to the top of the right thigh. Extend your left arm alongside your ears, and you've got 4 breath cycles here. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Lengthening your tailbone down to that inner left thigh, pressing down into right forearm so you can find length on the right side to rotate the right ribs forward, left ribs back. Nice work. Next in breath, return to Virabhadrasana 2. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat, pause for a breath cycle in that low lunge. And then this time you're going to step back to downward facing dog. Fantastic. When you're ready, let's inhale, come forward into plank. Pause here. Push down through the hands, draw up through the low belly, and then slide both heels over to the right. Keep pushing down through the right hand, lift up through the under left hip. Option to stay right here or maybe float your left arm up. For 3, for 2, for 1. Exhale, lower that hand down, come back through center, and then heels to the left, push down through the right hand. Option to stay right here, or maybe you float the right arm up for 3, for 2, for 1. Nice job. Lower the hand down. Inhale here. If you need to, lower the knees down. Come through Chaturanga all the way down to your bellies. Fantastic. Once you find yourself on your abdomen, I'm going to do all the things we've done before. So again, press into your toenails, straighten through your legs, press your pubic bone down, and then lengthen your tailbone back. From here, let's draw our shoulders up towards our ears, draw our shoulder blades together on our back. Nice work. Now I want you to isometrically pull the hands back to pull the heart forward. Now we're not going to come up as high this time because I'm going to tell you to now lift your hands away from the floor. See if you can still lift up through the backs of the shoulder blades. See if you can then reach your toes so far back that they float up. See if you can draw your sternum forward towards your pubic bone, towards your belly button towards your sternum. Pubic bone presses down for 3. Lift through the back of the head for 2. Nice work, guys. Next exhale, lower all the way down. Curl the toes under, then look through hands and knees or plank, and then downward facing dog. 3 breaths, 3 breaths, 3 breaths. All right. When you're ready, let's go ahead and take a big breath in and a big breath out. Lift to the balls of your feet, inhale. Exhale all the breath, bottom of the exhalation, step or float, top of space. Nice work. Once you find yourself at the top of your space, feet hip distance apart, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Again, find that cow shape here. So pubic bone back, heart reaches forward, shoulder blades onto the back body. Yeah. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center. Soften the gaze, close the eyes. Take a moment to turn inward. What's the awareness that you're having of your sense of center in this moment, your sense of well-being, your own sense of self? Oftentimes when we can do those things that bring us back to our midline, it gives us a lot of inspiration, intuition, courage to go forward in the things that we need to because we feel grounded. All right, if gaze is closed, go ahead and open the eyes again. We're going to shift our awareness by bringing all of our weight into our right leg. Float your left leg up. Flex through the left foot, drawing the left toes towards your face, and then you're going to start to squeeze your left butt cheek to externally rotate. Whoa, the left leg out to the left. Now try to draw your left heel as close to your perineum as possible, and then plant the foot wherever it lands on your right thigh. If you need to, then you'll then reach down with the left hand to reposition it, and always option to have the foot on the floor or on the shin. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe. You'll push your sternum into your thumb. You'll press your right inner edge of your foot down and draw the left foot into the right thigh. You might keep your hands here. You might reach your arms up, but it's all coming from the center. So if that core can be strong, then the arms can do whatever. All right. And then when you're ready, you'll gently release the hands back to heart center. Release the left leg out to the left, drop back to center, put the foot down, wiggle and shake in any way that feels good to you. And then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So start to shift our weight over to our left leg. Make your right leg light, hands to heart center. Flex your right toes up towards your knees, and then you're going to start to squeeze your right glute. Start to open the right leg out to the right and try to draw your heel as close to your pelvis as possible. Ooh, that's hard. And then go ahead and reach down and reposition the foot with the hand if need be. And then you're going to press hands into sternum. Press left thigh leg straight down as you press your right foot into your inner left thigh. And then hands can stay here, hands can do whatever, but you're going to allow yourself to have the engagement coming from the midline. And sometimes, ironically enough, our core strength comes not from clenching and gripping, but just from breathing. Just see if you can breathe. And then when you're ready, hands come back to heart center. Release the right leg back to the right. Draw it back to center. And draw the foot to the floor. And then wiggle and shake in any way that feels good to you. That wasn't so bad. All right. Let's come to stand at the top of our space. Got 2 more things to do here. So again, shifting our weight. Let's try the other side this time. Drawing the weight over to your left leg. Hands come to heart center. Make your right leg light. From here, you're going to start to kick your right foot back behind you. You're going to start to push your heart and sternum forward and find your way into Virabhadrasana 3. So the more you can push your sternum forward, the more you can lengthen your tailbone back, the more you can lift up through the back of the head, the ears, as though you're isometrically pulling your heart forward. You can kick back through that right leg. Yeah. The end of your next exhalation, you'll draw the low belly in, and then you'll draw the leg back up to one-legged Tadasana. And then we'll release the foot down. I got some faces and so are we okay? Yeah. All right. We'll try that again. So shift the weight to the right leg, hands to heart center, float your left leg up. Keep pulling the toes towards your knees. And then you're going to start to hinge at the hips. Heart comes forward, sending your left leg back. And you want to see if you can straighten your left leg as best as possible. Shoulder blades onto the back body. And if the supporting leg is wobbling, that's great. Balance isn't the stuck, rigid thing. It's constantly movement. So allow the ankle to move if it needs to be and just breathe through it and with it. And then when you're ready, you're going to draw the left knee back up, root down through the right leg, come to one-legged Tadasana, root the foot down, shake and wiggle that out. Don't think so bad. All right. Then we'll find ourselves at the top of our space in Tadasana. Sorry, Tadasana. We were going to go to Tadasana, but not yet. All right. Foreshadow, yeah. What? All right. So inhale, circle, sweep arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hip, hands through heart center, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog pose. From downward facing dog, listen very closely. You're going to bend your knees until your knees want to hover an inch away from the floor. And then rocket your body forward into plank pose. Whoop. Fantastic. Take a breath in here. Next exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to add on to that. So you're going to inhale. As you exhale, you're going to bend your knees to hover off the floor. This time you're going to rocket forward to chaturanga. Yeah. Downward facing dog. Last time. So you bend your knees to hover off the floor. Chaturanga coming forward. Fantastic. Lower all the way down. Yay, we made it. All right. Let's go ahead and just stack our hands right on top of each other, heads up, 7 up. Bring your forehead to rest on the top of your hands and just take a moment to breathe here. I want you to specifically breathe into your belly, pressing your belly into the floor, noticing how that will give you space as well as feedback, information. And you're just noticing how that feels. And as we do all the next few shapes, you're going to keep trying to breathe into your belly as we do the next few shapes. So let's go ahead and bend our right knee and draw our right heel towards our pelvis. Reach around with your right hand and grab your right ankle. And again, I want you to see if you can keep your pelvis rooted on the floor. If you can draw your right heel towards your right hip. If you can press down to the top of your left toenails. The left leg is long. And then notice if you can press your pubic bone down as you lengthen your tailbone back and find a gentle quad stretch happening on the right thigh. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will want to kick your right foot up and away from the floor. But again, the pelvis stays the same. The breath stays the same in the belly. Then you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Fantastic. Take one more breath cycle here. And then when you're ready, you'll gently release. Come back to heads up, 7 up, and just take a moment to notice the difference between the sides. Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and try the other side. So bend your left knee, draw your left heel towards your pelvis, reach around with your left hand and grab your left outer ankle. Now, keeping your head on the mat just for a few more breaths, I want you to press down into the top of your right foot, make your right leg long, press your pubic bone down and lengthen your tailbone back. And again, you keep breathing into the abdomen as you pull your left heel close to your hip. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you will start to kick your left foot away from you and maybe lift the left thigh away from the floor. But you're pausing and you're breathing as the pelvis staying the same. Are you still breathing into the abdomen three-dimensionally? Nice work. Fantastic. When you're ready, let's go ahead and gently release the left leg. Come back to heads up, 7 up style. And then from here, just take one more breath cycle. And then when you feel complete, you're going to lift your head and release your arms either to a cactus or a T, whatever feels best to you. And then we're going to start with our right hand. So look towards your right. Slide your right elbow arm a little bit more towards the right. Then look towards your left elbow. Step your left hand where your left elbow was. Start to push down into your left hand and roll your rib cage so your left rib cage is on top of your right. If your right elbow is bent, you'll feel this very acutely in the pec major, minor region of that right arm. And then you notice what's happening with your head. And then notice what's happening with your left leg. Do you want the left leg straight? You want to bend the left knee and plant the left foot towards the floor. Do you want to keep rotating through the ribs as well as the hip? Then you just pause and you breathe. On your next in-breath, we're gently going to unwind, come back onto our abdomens. Return to either the cactus or the T shape. Look towards your left elbow, slide your left elbow arm thing to the left a bit. Look towards the right, step your right hand where your right elbow was. Then start to push down into your right hand and roll your rib cage over to the left. Notice where your head needs to be for you to find comfort. And then the stretch on this side will mostly be acute in the front of the left chest armpit region. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to notice what you notice here. Nice work. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back onto your abdomen. Plant your hands alongside your lowest ribs. Come up through hands and knees or plank and make your way back to downward facing dog. And then let's actually take a moment to pause here. Everyone lower your knees down, put a blanket in the middle of your mat, and make sure your blocks are toward the upper outer corners of your space. I like that blanket. That looks very soft and fuzzy. All right, and then go back to downward facing dog. Her blanket just looks like an animal. It looks very soft. Like a shaggy dog or a polar bear, koala bear. It looks very soft. All right, inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And just take a moment to pause. We haven't done this yet. So really root down through your left heel, reach up through your right, and just notice what that feels like. As you exhale, draw your right knee to your nose, and then plant your right foot between your hands. Fantastic. At this point, some of you may want to bring your hands to your blocks. You might keep your hands on the floor. That's totally up to you. But we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Lower your left knee to the mat. Bring your hand to your heart. Now, with your right hand on your heart, I want you to really push your sternum forward, and notice that you can then push down through your left hand, and you'll feel this engagement happening on the shoulder blade. From there, push down even more through the left hand, push forward through the sternum, scoop the belly on the right side, and start to rotate the rib cage towards the right. Now you're pushing down so much through your left hand that your left armpit becomes light. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will bend your back knee. That's your left knee. Some of you will fan open your right arm. Yes, very beautiful, Sandy. And grab the outside edge of your left foot. Now from here, you're going to still keep pushing down into that left hand. You're going to pull your left heel close to your your left hip. And then notice if you want to lift the toes a little bit on the right foot, that's the front foot. Do you need to roll to the outside edge of your pinky toe of your right foot? And then you pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. Heart comes forward, push down through the left hand, rotate the ribs to the right. You got it. And then very gently, if the foot came off the floor, lower the sole of the right foot back to the floor. Gently release the left foot. Hands come down to the floor. And this is where we're going to bring all of our hands to our blocks. So all of our hands come to our blocks. I would encourage you to turn your blocks up to their highest setting, but you do what works for you. Start to shift your pelvis back, and then you're going to cross your right ankle in front of your left thigh, making a figure 4 shape. So your toes are curled under. You're pushing your right ankle against your left thigh. From here, you might lower your blocks down a tick, and then you're going to push your butt back like you're going towards downward facing dog. And some of you, did you find it? Or are you saying what, like you don't know what's going on? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, not good that it hurts, but that means you're probably looking for it. And then some of you will lower your blocks down. Some of you will remove your blocks entirely. Some of you might even bring your forearms all the way down to the floor to find this outer hip stretch in this figure 4. And what you're doing is you're pushing your butt back a lot. And then you're noticing what happens, not to your heel. And then you, well, not to the air. It's going back towards the heel. It's not actually going to get there. And then you'll notice what happens if you lift or lower your your right hip to find a little bit of stretch. For most of us, if we lift our right hip away from the floor just a smidge, there's this crazy outer stretch on our outer hips. Now, a few of you came in saying you were having runner outer butt hip stuff. So I want you to particularly make sure you're breathing here, because this is probably not fun, but that's okay. You're just, oh, great. That's good. Okay. And then you're pausing and you're breathing. And then when you're ready, we're going to gently come out of this. So you're going to crawl yourself forward. If your forearms came to the floor, bring your hands back to the floor. And then we probably are going to want to bring our hands back to our blocks. And then you're going to figure out how to mindfully retrograde that movement. So that just means reverse it, coming back to hands and knees, and then make your way back to hands or downward facing dog. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what that feels like between the sides, right to left, front to back. Okay. Like, you guys are making so much fun. Evan, Barbara, and Laura, are you two okay too? Yes, okay, cool. That's good. All right, let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back and just pause here. Root down through the right inner edge of your foot, lift up through the left inner edge of your foot, and just see how that feels. And then as you're ready, you'll exhale and draw your knee to your nose. Go ahead and plant your foot between your hands, and then hands to blocks as you lower your back knee down to the mat. Yeah, fantastic. So some of you may keep hands on blocks. Some of you may lower that right hand to the floor. It's totally up to you. But our left hand is going to come to our sternum heart thing again. You're going to push your sternum actively forward as you pull it back isometrically. Then push down into your right hand so much that your right side becomes light. And you'll start to scoop the belly on the left side and rotate towards the left. Fantastic. And some of us will just stay here, pushing sternum into hand, pushing right hand down to floor. Some of us will fan our left arm open to the left. You might bend your right knee, that's your back knee. You might grab the outside edge of your right foot, that's the back knee. And then some of you might lift the left toes up and away from the floor and then experiment with maybe rolling to the pinky toe edge side of the foot as you maybe squeeze your left elbow back so the heart stays open. And you just pause and breathe in this twisted monkey shape. Nice work. Keep pushing down through right hand so right armpit stays light. Yeah, very mindfully. Go ahead and release the left foot back to the floor. Release your right foot. Both hands come to blocks now at this point. Probably turn both blocks up to the highest setting. And then you're going to cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Yeah. And so we've got that figure 4. And then you might lower your blocks a little bit as you send your tuchus back. You might take the blocks away entirely. Oh, wow, that's fun on this side. And you might notice that the right and the left side are completely different. So maybe the forearms came to the floor on one side. Maybe on the other side, you're like, yeah, no. Or maybe on the first side, they're like, yeah, no. Maybe on this side, they're like, yeah, maybe. So just take a moment and breathe. And then notice as you send your butt back, so you're really finding that cow shape in your low back. And then noticing what happens if you lift or lower your left hip just a smidge. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice work. And then when we're ready to come out of this shape, we'll start to come back out the way you went in. So coming up to hands, maybe bringing hands back to blocks on highest setting, stepping your left foot forward and stepping your left foot back and making your way back to your downward facing dog. And you just take a moment to pause and you take a moment to breathe. And you just breathe and you pause. Pause and you breathe. Yep. And then let's all go ahead and lower our knees. Remove your blankets. And then go back to downward facing dog. All right. From down dog. Last time to do this, you'll go ahead and bend your knees. And then shift forward to plank or chaturanga. Lower all the way down. Yeah, look at that. Good job, people. Okay, now this is going to be odd, so you might have to listen and look. But you're going to find yourself in tree pose on your abdomen, but it's like a wonky tree. Just kind of kick your right leg over to the right. So it's like at a 90-degree angle, and see if you can keep the shin at a 90-degree angle. And some of you will just hang out here and you'll just breathe in your belly. You'll be like, yeah, Jessica, this is fantastic. This is where I'm going to stay. Hands might be heads up, 7-up style, and you might just hang out here. Some of you might be like, well, I'm a little curious about what comes next. And you might try this. So some of you might come to a Sphinx-ish pose. So you'll walk your forearms underneath you and you might be like, yeah, okay, I'll hang out here. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is you're still breathing in your belly. You're still breathing in your belly. We're trying to find a nice elongation on your psoas. And so you're just breathing in your belly. And some of you, and nothing in your low back. So some of you might be like, yeah, okay, hang out here. Some of you might start to walk your hands back and you'll come up. And we're trying to find a long stretch on the front of our left side. Yeah, left, that's the long leg. And sometimes it might help if you look towards your right as you push down into your left hand, push down into your left toenail. And we're just breathing. Can we find anything? Okay. Let me just pause and you breathe. And if you're not feeling anything, check in with your left foot. Sometimes it depends upon how your foot is engaged with the mat. So that's the long leg, the back leg. And then when you're ready, we're gonna come back out. So if you straighten the leg or the arms, you'll come back to forearms. You'll come back to heads up, 7-up. Then you'll step your right leg in to meet its mate. And you'll just take a few breath cycles here, breathing into the abdomen. Noticing how that feels. And then we'll try the other side. So you'll cock your left knee out to the left, knee in line with hip. Find a 90-degree angle with the shin. Yep. And then you might stay there and just breathe on your belly, heads up, 7-up style. You might walk your forearms underneath you. And again, you're just breathing into the low belly. You don't want any pinching on the low back. And you might just stay here. And this might be a very fantastic place to stay. You might start to walk your hands straight. And the closer your hands come back to the pelvis, the harder this becomes. And again, you're making sure the right toenails are pressing down, and then you might look towards your left shoulder, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're making sure both of your hands, if your arms are straight, are pressing it into the floor equally. It can become easy for the left hand to not be taking the weight, so make sure that's even. And we're breathing all along the front right side of the hip. All right. We're all ready to come out. We're going to walk ourselves forward to forearms. Walk our forearms out, forehead down, back to heads up, 7-up. And then step your left leg in. And then just take a moment to be here. You might shift your hips a little bit right to left and notice what that feels like as you return your awareness back to breathing into your abdomen. Great. And then when we're ready, let's go ahead and extend our left arm alongside our ears. Roll over onto your left side. Roll over onto your back. We are preparing for Shavasana, so if we're not going there immediately, but we are making our way there. So if there's anything you want to cover the body with, now would be a great time to do that. And then when you find yourself on your back, your block should still be somewhere near your head, which is great. And if you need your blanket somewhere nearby you, that might be helpful for you to grab as well. And the first thing that you'll do is you'll just find yourself on your back in a constructive rest shape. So feet are outside of your hips, your knees are bent, the knees knock in. And then you can wrap one arm or both arms around your torso, give yourself a hug. And then I want you to check in with the back of the head. You need to lift the head up a little bit so it doesn't feel like your chin is jutting up towards the sky, but instead is drawing towards your sternum. And just take 3 breaths here. Your next in-breath, go ahead and open the arms out and then cross the opposite arm on top. And again, you'll just take 3 breaths here. Three long, steady deep breaths. At the end of this next exhalation, you'll gently uncross the arms. Go ahead and bring your hands alongside your hips. Walk your feet in so they're hip distance apart. Heels pretty close to your pelvis. And then reach your arms up to the sky again like the happy little zombies. And then bending your elbows down towards your hips, feeling shoulder blades onto your back. Great. Now turn your palms to face each other. Fantastic. Now push down through your hands, push down through your elbows, push down for your elbows, your shoulders, your feet, lift your hips. Once your hips are high, you might want to walk your shoulder blades underneath even more. You might want to push down through the elbows even more. Notice what's happening in your head, making sure that the chin isn't jutting up too much. And some of you will stay here with little happy zombie robots. Some of you will extend your arms down towards your feet. Some of you will grab to the outer edges of your mat and pull your mat wide to wrap your shoulder blades underneath you even more. And some of you might grab opposite hands and interlace the hands. But you've got about 4 breath cycles here. Barbara, press into your right big toe mound a little bit more for me. There we go. And just pause and you breathe. The end of your next exhalation, gently unclasp the hands, untuck the shoulders, bring the pelvis back down to the floor, and just take a moment to pause, finding a neutral spine. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. When you're ready, draw your knees into your chest, giving yourself a hug up an asana, wind relieving pose. From here, slide your hands through the inner edges of your thighs, grab the outer edges of your feet, draw the soles of the feet together, press the pinky toes into each other, pull the outer edges of your feet towards your belly button, really root your sacrum, really root the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, and see if you can widen the knees apart so you feel a stretch along the inner groin. And some of you will stay here. Some of you will start to reach your knees towards the floor, the feet towards the sky, and take a Nanda Balasana, happy baby. And again, your feet are as active as they just were. So you're pushing up through your big toe mounds. You're pulling down with your hands. You're pushing up through your pinky toe mounds. The collarbones are wide. The heart is open. Yeah, if some of you want to straighten one leg or another, by all means, try that. And then Roberta, see if you can lengthen the back of your head there. Yeah. So then you get the whole back line. Fantastic. And then gently, we're going to release it. Go ahead and plant the feet back on the floor once again. Now, at this point in time, I'd like you to check in and see if there's anything else that you would like to do. Some gentle windshield wipers or twists might feel great. A thigh root might feel fantastic. You might be calling for something else entirely, but start to allow yourself to trust. We spent this whole time building our core strength. The purpose of it isn't just so that you're strong or fit or that you don't fall over as you age, but really so that you can intuit what's best for you at any given moment of time and actually act in accordance with it. This unshakable trust, as Cayenne used to say very often, it comes not from, some of the external things that we do, but from this internal awareness. And so as you're here for these last few moments, I encourage you to just pause and breathe and notice what your body's asking for. Trust that that's appropriate for you, and then move in accordance with that. So, and then you'll just take the next few moments doing whatever you happen to be doing. And then when you feel complete, you will make your way to your final resting pose. And as usual, the first thing that you want to do is really fidget when you get there so that you feel balanced right to left. And then once you feel balanced, you'll take 3 breaths in and 3 breaths out. And with every subsequent exhalation, you just allow the body to wait, to ground, to root, to melt, to merge more and more into the floor, more and more into gravity, more and more into the earth, into your natural state of being. And anytime you happen to notice that your mind starts to wander, that's okay. That's what minds do. Just gently remind yourself, label this as thinking, and come back to the breath. Watching every subsequent exhale, drawing you deeper and deeper into you, deeper and deeper into your own inner truth and inner knowing. And I'll leave you here with you for a few more moments and a few more breaths. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this state. If there is, please stay here as long as you'd like. When movement or life do start to call you, allow the movement to enter gently. You might find that the wiggles of the fingers and the toes eventually become stretches and yawns of the body. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. As a movement, start to make your way slowly to one of your sides and pause there for a few breath cycles. From your side, gently roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand and then draw yourself to a tall, comfortable seat. When you are vertical, please take the opportunity to elevate your bum on a block or a blanket. And then notice that the eyes still get the gaze closed or the eyes soft. Notice what it feels like to really sit where your shoulders are over your hips, where your ears are over your shoulders, where you can relax your mandible, your jaw away from the rest of your skull, where you can let the tongue just be heavy in the mouth, the eyes be heavy in the socket, where the arms can rest in a place where your heart stays open. Go ahead and place a hand on the heart and a hand on the abdomen. I genuinely believe that when we are strong in our center, our hearts can remain open as we go through different facets of life. It gives us the power, the courage, the strength, and the capacity to move through and with things that happen with an open heart. So as you take these last few breath cycles here, I'd like you to just thank your own courage, your own sense of center that comes up when you just show up for yourself and to your body and the things that nurture you at your core. At the end of your exhalation, we'll go ahead and bring our hands to heart center on Anjali Mudra. Press the thumbs into your sternum, lift your sternum to your thumbs, and then gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible breath out through the mouth. Inhale for Om, join if you'd like. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the center within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, in the center within each of you. Namaste.